All right, senators from both sides of the aisle calling for an investigation into a potential Russian hack of the election, right?
You have, the CIA saying one thing. I haven't gotten the briefings yet. I'm not yet minority leader. The FBI something else. We need to get to the bottom of this in a fair, nonpartisan, non-finger-pointing way.
So why can't the FBI and CIA seem to get their story straight? Let me factor in the National Intelligence Director also doesn't agree with either one of them. Let's ask former CIA guy, he's an officer himself, Mike Baker. Mike, does this surprise you that the CIA and FBI have different conclusions?
No. It surprises me that Senator Schumer, who is a very well experienced and bright guy, is surprised that the FBI and the CIA wouldn't necessarily agree. There's no rule that says, and there shouldn't be, that says the FBI, primarily a law enforcement entity, and the CIA, an intelligence organization, need to always come up with the same conclusions. In fact, you don't want that. You want them looking at information and drawing up an assessment based on their best informed opinions.
So the Washington Post said this on how the FBI and CIA differ. It says the Bureau, true to its law enforcement roots, wants facts and tangible evidence to prove something beyond all reasonable doubt. The CIA is more comfortable drawing inferences from behavior. Does that really builds on what you just said?
Right. Look, it's very complicated. We could spend all day talking about this, but I'll wait till we get our families together for Christmas Eve dinner, as we always do. But what this means is that the agency, the raw intelligence comes in from the officers out in the field. It gets into the system inside the CIA. The reports guys, they write it up. The analysts then take it. They combine it with all the other intel that's coming in from the various pieces. And then they make an assessment, right? That's their job. An analyst, that's his job. He or she makes the estimate, the assessment. It goes out into the White House. And this is based on, the tasking that comes from the White House. Once it gets into the White House, once it gets with the National Security Advisor and his team or her team, then, that's where people talk about how it becomes politicized. Well, sure, yes, because there's an editorial process where they start picking and choosing what they're going to pay attention to. And it's not just the current administration or the next administration, it's the previous administration and down through the ages since the beginning of the U.S. intel system.
So Mike Flynn, Lieutenant General, he's going to be National Security Advisor to be for President-elect, in 2015 came out and said, listen, the CIA under President Obama has been politicized, dismissing a lot of its conclusions. Have you heard that? Does he have a case there? That's before he got this job.
Right. No, and to be fair, General Flynn, who's extremely well experienced and very capable individual, he's had his differences with the CIA, both when he was in the military and now that he's out. It's not always been a smooth relationship. And in part, when he was with DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, he was looking to put more responsibility in the DIA. It was his turf. And so he was trying to take some of that, responsibility from the CIA in a sense. Right. But he's had this rocky relationship. Has the CIA become politicized? Well, you know what? Frankly, and people are going to expect me to say this because I'm subjective. I worked there for a long time. No, I think at the very top you have a political appointee, Director Brennan, who's been with the agency for a long time and has been working now with the Obama administration, has a very close relationship with President Obama. So people are going to say, well, that's political. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. It's above my pay grade. I can tell you the people that work inside the agency just march on with the tasking. Whichever administration is in charge, those people work constantly just to deliver the intelligence through the system. Once it gets outside the CIA, yes, it's a political element to this, and the people on both sides are going to pick and choose this thing to death, and they're going to make their own case.
All right, Mike, thanks so much. I know Mike Pompeo, a lot of people are behind him running the CIA. I had Mike Baker, and I put a lot of money on it, and you cost me and my family. So I'm not happy you're not running the CIA. Mike Baker, thanks so much.
Do me a favor, Brian. Don't cheap out this year on your Secret Santa gift, all right?
I know. I got to hit the limit. You're right, and I have done that in the past. Thank you, Mike Baker. All right, coming up straight ahead, a startling stat about health in America today. Life expectancy plummets as Obamacare prices skyrocket. Is that a coincidence? One doctor says, no, it isn't.
It is a startling statistic about health in America. Life expectancy is now down for the first time in more than 2 decades. We're not living as long. But as the life expectancy drops, government health care rises. Are they related? Here to weigh in is Dr. Nicole Saphier. Thanks, Dr. Saphier, for being here again.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So why do you think that is? Why is life expectancy going down?
Well, it is true. The best measure of wellness of a country is looking at the life expectancy. And for the first time since the early 1990s, we're seeing a decline. And in 1993 is when we were dealing with the AIDS crisis and all of these flu deaths. And what we're seeing now is completely different reasons for our life expectancy to go down. As a breast radiologist, I'm extremely happy to say that cancer deaths have gone down, which really confirms what we're doing with our increased cancer screening and treatments are really having an impact. Unfortunately, many other of our leading causes of death have all worsened, including cardiovascular disease, stroke, Alzheimer's disease, diabetes. And if you notice, something startling about that is all of those risks may be drastically reduced just with behavioral and lifestyle modifications.
I thought with Obamacare, with more people having insurance, everyone has to have insurance unless you opt out and you have to pay for that. So more people have insurance. Wouldn't you think life expectancy would go up? Are they related?
Some people may think that they are. What we have seen with the implementation of the ACA is that a lot more people, millions of Americans, have gained health insurance. That has drastically reduced health care debt. Now, the data is a little slow to come out showing if we're actually improving health and wellness. It's just not there yet. So I can't say for sure. What has happened with the implementation of the ACA is we're in the midst of a physician burnout and shortage crises due to all of these newly insured patients.
I want to ask you about the Cures Act because that passed in Washington last week. Billions of dollars to cure cancer, which sounds like a great thing. Are you in favor of that?
The Cures Act is a wonderful thing in the sense that it's the government showing that they really are dedicated to improving health care in America. They're funding a lot more mental health services, which we are in desperate need of. It's also wonderful that they are so dedicated in curing cancer and evolving all these new treatments. As we've seen, our cancer rates of death have gone down, which is wonderful. Unfortunately, what's happening is we're taking a lot of the funds from the very necessary public health programs like our tobacco and obesity, education, as well as vaccinations to fund this. You know, it was a quote I read once that said, the best preparation for our future is doing the best today. And what we need to be doing to improve healthcare in America is we need to foster the doctor-patient relationship. We need to make our doctors happier. We need to treat them better. But we also need to start holding patients accountable for some of their lifestyle choices that are negatively affecting their health.
All right, Dr. Saphier, thank you so much. Great information. We have a Fox News alert. The president-elect just made it official. Rex Tillerson is his pick for Secretary of State. What does Laura Ingraham think about that? She's here at the top of the hour. Good morning to you and your family. It's Tuesday. It's December 13th. I'm Ainsley Earhart, and this is a Fox News alert. The president-elect just making it official. Rex Tillerson, the guy right there on the right-hand side of your screen, is his pick for Secretary of State. Laura Ingraham is here in just moments to react.
She will. And if you are one of those people who cannot simply accept the results of the election, have no fear. Government-sponsored therapy has come to New York City.
Yes.
If she worked for New York City, would get free therapy. We're going to tell you what we know coming up.
Yes, please hug somebody if you're in New York. It always goes well. And did you know? It's an expression. Okay. That's the first time she paid attention to my cold open in quite some time. And did you know that in India, if you don't stand for the national anthem, you get hauled off to jail?
Oh, boy.
Somebody tell that to Colin Kaepernick. The quarterbacks in India always stand up.
Lock him up.
Mornings are better with friends.
The big.
He's still working on his breakfast. Yes. Plus, he's wearing a J. Crew plaid shirt.
Wait, so it's not an Untuck It shirt?
No, J.
You should buy Untuck It, mister.
It's not an Untuck It shirt.
You should buy the people who advertise on Fox.
This is just a. I know this is just a regular J. Crew shirt. Sorry, I'll square that away for you. All
right, I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
How about this shirt right here?
What's it say?
I like
proud.
that.
This is what everyone should get for Christmas. The basket of deplorables, proud member. So I'm here with friends. We're talking politics, enjoying pancakes. It's outstanding.
Fantastic. All right. Another hour out at Johnny V's in West Dallas with
That's
Pete.
because we're having breakfast with friends.
We are indeed.
It's very rare when you can see somebody's expense report being devoured right in front of you.
There you go.
We know exactly what he's paying in for.
Yeah, but $18 over a 3-hour telecast, that's
all he gets.
good value.
That's
Wait,
what he's on the road.
How long do you have to eat it within to become free when it's free?
Well, I'm kind of in overtime right now. I'm in overtime. I'm taking a little extra time because we're talking, but I got about another 15 minutes.
All right.
So I'm working.
You can do it.
All right. Meanwhile,
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Brian does not have you still don't have any faith in him, right?
No, I don't. And he, you know what? He's just too fit to eat that much that early.
sure.
Because peristalsis takes over. You know what that is?
I remember hearing
The
that in
squeezing
school.
of the esophagus until. Right.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Let's go ahead. Laura Ingram's going to be with us shortly, but first let's give you the big news. It has become official. Fox News has learned that Donald Trump will tap Exxon chief Rex Tillerson as his Secretary of State. There's also a story out, according to CBS, that apparently Rick Perry, who forgot the Department of Energy back in 2012.
Fox News is reporting it too.
Okay. He, it sounds like, is going to actually head up the Energy Department as well.
He is so he outstripped Joe Manchin, who also interviewed for that position reportedly at the Democratic Senator from West Virginia. He was there yesterday. And Governor Perry and Donald Trump have hit it off after initially locking horns like anybody else. And this is one of those situations where they said politics is politics. You call on me, I'll do it. So he's going to be Secretary of Energy, and man, he knows that sector.
Well, guess who knows a lot about politics? Laura Ingraham does. She is the editor-in-chief of LifeZette and our friend of the show here on Fox and Friends. Laura, what do you think of these two announcements?
I think the Tillerson pick is, frankly, pretty genius. Think about this. Because he's someone who is not ideological, which, frankly, right now in our foreign policy, I think is really important. We have a lot of pragmatic decisions to make in our foreign policy, but both with the way that we deal with the Middle East, with China, and with Russia. So the idea that these career politicians, some of them are really upset that Rex Tillerson hasn't been a career diplomat, I think to myself, we've had a lot of career diplomats, and some of them have made catastrophic decisions. Sure. And given advice that has frankly been proven to be quite calamitous for the United States. I think it might be, a time for this country to have someone in that position who knows the players, who knows the field, and is going to. He doesn't need to prove anything. He's already been the CEO of the top oil company in the world. He knows pretty much every major country that we're going to be dealing with, and that is incredibly useful for this nation. So the career folks, it's like they're worried that their secret world is going to be invaded by someone who might come in and just show them all up.
Laura, you know, Laura, though, that right now you watch the legacy media and there are all the concerns. Well, this guy who's had dealings all around the world, he's friends with Vladimir Putin. He got that award. Of course, he got the award because he wound up getting the drilling rights under the Arctic in Russia for Exxon, and then dealt Exxon in with the Russian National Oil Company. But that fits right into the narrative right now about the ties to Russia. And, oh, by the way, Russia rigged things so that Donald Trump would win the election.
Well, there's a lot to say about that. But number one, the idea that you're successfully getting Russia to give up some of their territory for drilling that will help millions of American investors in pension funds and mutual funds, individual investors, and the employees in the United States of ExxonMobil. Okay, that I don't get. I don't get that criticism. It seems that's really smart, number one. Number two, the idea that he's going to be criticized, Trump, for having this man, Rex Tillerson, in this position when Barack Obama decided to push through this Iran deal that now allows Boeing to sell 70 or 80 commercial aircraft to the Islamic Republic. You could argue that both ways, I understand, but knowing what we know about the Islamic Republic, the largest state sponsor of terrorism, we've decided to trust them with this flawed Iran deal. And Obama was, crowing about how this was going to be good for world stability. And now Tillerson is the problem. I just find this to be ridiculous. When we needed the left to be really serious and helpful with the former Soviet Union, When we needed them back in the 80s, they were frankly siding against American interests. Now that Donald Trump's president, now suddenly they're all tough on Russia. I mean, it's just hilarious.
I will say this. Condoleezza Rice has just put this up on Facebook. Rex Tillerson is an excellent choice for Secretary of State. He will bring to the post the most remarkable and broad international experience, a deep understanding of the global economy, and a belief in America's special role in the world. I know Rex as a successful businessman and patriot. He will represent the interests and values of the United States with resolve. That's from the establishment, from inside the State Department to the outside, and that was confirming basically the rumor that she recommended him.
Well, I think that both she and Baker and Cheney, they all like Tillerson. I'm not someone who says, oh, because the triumvirate of the Bush administration or the Bushes it supports him, it's a bad thing. One thing I have to say, Trump has had, President-elect Trump has had really good judgment. You know, you see all the intrigue at Trump Tower and the video of everyone going in. But you really look at most of these picks, I think he's had excellent judgment. He's taken his time on the one that I think was most important, Secretary of State. He put in fabulous people at Defense. I think he's going to have more announcements this week. I think it's an interesting and frankly diverse experience that we're seeing in this cabinet. Contrary to what you're hearing from, you know, the New York Times and all the rest. It's pretty impressive so far.
I wanted to ask you about this. Hillary Clinton's top political advisor, John Podesta, we read all of his emails, said that the campaign is supporting an effort by members of the Electoral College to request an intelligence briefing on the foreign intervention in the presidential election. What do you think about that?
Before they cast their vote.
I mean, this is out now bordering on just utterly sad, pathetic, predictable. There is an inability on the left, on Hillary supporters, to accept that they lost this election. They lost, and they lost handily in the Electoral College. So the first thing they wanted to do is say that the Electoral College has to be done away with. They wanted to say that. Then they wanted to say that it was Comey's fault for putting that letter out to Congress. Then they wanted to say that it was Russia involved in the election. Anything except their ideas failed. And they have failed the Rust Belt of this country and the manufacturing base of this country terribly. And the political correctness, the identity politics, people are just tired of this, and they can't face that. So what they really have to do, and I think what this is really about, they have to give these activist groups something at Christmas time. They have to say, look, we're still fighting for you. We still have fight left in us against the Trump machine. So now it's the Electoral College has to get the briefing. I don't really care if they get a briefing or not, but Donald Trump's going to be president of the United States, and what they have to do is raise a lot of money over at the Center for American Progress, Media Matters, all these other Soros-connected groups to show that they're still relevant in a nation that I think wants to move on.
When is George Soros going to be tired of losing money? Meanwhile, you talk about things that the Democrats are trying to do, and that is get together and get some group therapy going. Mayor de Blasio, our incredible mayor here in New York, said this in a letter to his employees. Many New Yorkers may be feeling distressed or vulnerable following the election results. We have seen the concerns expressed on social media, and we are monitoring them closely, and they're going to provide some assets for people to tap into. So if you feeling bad, Laura, you could come here and you tap into some of our social services.
You know what? When I'm walking to Fox and I'm up with you guys in the New York bureau at Fox, I feel like I need a therapy dog to get me from my hotel to Fox because of the number of poor homeless people that are just strewn about the streets now this time of year. So de Blasio, again, I think it's look at this shiny object over here so you don't focus on the fact that New York is at a gridlock of homelessness, increased crime, and let's not even speak of what happened to poor 7th Avenue where you can't drive downtown anymore because of the pedestrian walkways and the bike lanes. Sorry, I hate all that too. So I mean, again, they're trying to show that they still have some fight in them, and they're representing people. But in the end, either people's lives are getting better in a city like New York, or they're getting overtaxed, overregulated, and it's just not as pleasant a place to live as it used to be. So I think that's a lot about what's going on. And how how are we the country that took the beaches of Normandy if we need a therapy dog every time things don't go our way?
No kidding. Well, the good news is for New Yorkers, which, by the way, New York went 80%, New York City did, to Donald Trump's opponent, Hillary Clinton. But the mayor has reassured New Yorkers that he is going to stand up to that bully, Donald Trump. Whatever he tries to do in Washington, D.C., Mayor de Blasio is going to resist.
Yeah, after 11 a.m., he likes to sleep in and then go work out.
Oh, my God. Now, again, New York is such a wonderful, interesting, vibrant place. And I have to say, there are a lot of friends of mine in New York who are not Trump fans, who are Democrats, who are not at all wild about de Blasio, to put it kindly, this time of year. They're like fed up with him. And this just adds to the narrative of what a goofball he's become. I mean, he's this tall, looming figure, but a complete and utter goofball. And none of this makes anyone's lives better. None of it solves the problems that New York is facing today. And they're going to tax people out of the city. They're going to drive people out of the city. You're only going to be, if you're a Chinese billionaire or a Russian billionaire or some other type of multimillionaire, you can live in New York. But so all the other people, they got to move out of town. It's too expensive.
Well, I live in New Jersey. Just
right.
Oh, see?
I live in Long Island. There you go. Driven
Ainsley's here.
Yeah, it is expensive.
Ainsley's here.
All right,
I live
Laura,
in my closet.
Have a wonderful day. Go edit Life Set and go do your radio show in 47 minutes.
All right, I've got to go compose myself. Fido, come here. Come here.
Oh, yeah. We can send you some Play-Doh and some coloring books.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly. Light Bright. I like the Light Bright set from the 70s.
Right.
That's what
Absolutely.
Very cheery.
And then play Battleship.
Merry Christmas, Laura. Thank you.
See you guys.
All right.
I do love the smell of Play-Doh. And oftentimes I'll stare at it and go, should I be the one to break its shape? Right?
There you go. All right. Meanwhile, have you heard it's President Obama's new criticism of the president-elect?
If you're not getting their perspective, their detailed perspective, then you are flying blind.
Well, the incoming chief of staff, Reince Priebus, has a few things to say to the president about that.
And Pete Hegseth is taking the pulse of the people in Wisconsin. The voters there helped Donald Trump do something that no other Republican could do since the 80s, at least. Breakfast with Friends coming up.